Hey, I don't know about y'all, but I've had to take out some loans in my life. Student loan debt, car loan, crazy high interest rates. My credit was cheeks. I was always blessed enough to have a decent day job to reduce that burden. Not everyone is that fortunate though. That plus the pandemic plus a recession creates a situation where a massive national industry gets to claim another victim. We gotta take a closer look at the dark side of the personal loan industry. Pun intended. In the late 2010s, I lived on the west side of Atlanta off Hollowell Parkway, which used to be known as. As you probably could have guessed, we was in the hood. Now, even though my block was gentrified with a bunch of old but decent houses, all I had to do to spot a crackhead was walk over to the laundromat. I lived in a house with 2 women back then, neither of whom I was dating, and we had this mouse that camped out behind our stove. As the only man in the house, it was my job to take care of this, right? So I got a mouse trap and some peanut butter, and I got rid of the first one, but then we quickly discovered that there was some kind of hole behind the cupboards or something like that. They kept getting in, so it was all bad. Anyway, part of the hood adjacent experience is the ubiquity of payday loan and title loan spots. I'm gonna get into more detail later, but basically you can get a loan with no credit check, bad credit, whatever, or put your car up as collateral, and you're usually expected to pay it back within 2 weeks, hence payday loan. These loans tend to come with a very high APR, or annual percentage rate. That number determines how much you pay over the next 12 months. So the longer you have that loan, the more you ultimately have to pay. And that tends to trap borrowers in a debt spiral. Paying these loans back within those 2 weeks is much less doable for these low-income borrowers that they target with the bad credit welcome and no credit check advertisements. And that's exactly why they're called predatory. Now, I've never really been to any of these places, and that's my privilege talking, but for this piece, I got much more familiar. There's a couple of spots around here, and there's a lot in Atlanta, so let's check them out.
Problem is that they're taking advantage of people who are already desperate.
Brown says she was instructed to tell customers that their title loans were just like paying off a credit card and would go toward the original amount owed. The problem? They're actually just paying off the interest.
But the fact is, TitleMax misled plenty of employees in order to mislead the community. She can't talk, she can't walk, she can't eat, she can't write, she can't feed herself. They repo her vehicle. It was less than $1,000 what she owed. And I'm like, why are we doing this? To this lady, her life is more important than this bill.
Now, luckily for us, payday loans have been illegal in Georgia since '04, when they put a 10% cap on small loans, small being under $3,000. Not only that, but Georgia made it an aggravated misdemeanor to be caught giving these loans out anywhere in the state. But 1, that doesn't mean it's not still happening. And 2, that's not the case in other states, unfortunately. Let's start right here in the A. We might not have any payday loan spots, but we definitely have auto title loan spots like TitleMax all over the place. In February of last year, they got fined $15 million for violating Georgia's laws that protect military families from predatory lenders. They allegedly issued 2,670 auto title loans to various military families over the course of 5 years. That's over 10 a week. This violated not only Georgia's laws, but their own company policies. That ain't the only time either. In 2016, they got fined $9 million for operating deceptively in Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama. There's over 200 locations in the state and 14 right here in Atlanta. So as you can see, just because something's illegal doesn't mean it ain't happening. All right, let's hit my home state, Florida. Now, let me tell y'all something about Florida that you might already know. Their governor is interesting.
They have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons. That's a political agenda.
Payday loans are 100% legal there, and it becomes painfully obvious if you take one step in every college student and Instagram model's respective vacation destinations, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. As y'all can see, there's roughly the same amount of locations in both cities, 19 or 20. I think Miami might have the edge. I actually lived in Fort Lauderdale for 2 weeks at the beginning of last year. And then I moved away because that city is a mess. You run into a strip mall every couple blocks with a payday loan center right in the middle of it, or somebody stealing from Walmart. Next up, Texas, baby. Side note, you can literally get approved for a loan with no credit check online in some states. Your rate can get as high as 740% in Texas, where payday loans are legal to this day. To put that loan in real money terms, if you borrowed $1,000 for a car repair or to cover bills while your spouse is out of work, at 740% APR, you owe $1,283.84 at the end of that 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, your debt ballooned by 28%. And you can always extend that loan, right? But that finance charge is now over 60% with convenience fees sprinkled on top. Tell them why, Cam. Their governor is also interesting.
He referred to the victims of a Cleveland mass shooting as illegal migrants.
I'm noticing a trend. Now, for residents that make minimum wage, and even for some who don't, they cannot cover that interest charge within 2 weeks. And the loan companies know this.
Have a car, a title, then you're on TitleMax's list to get the cash you need.
I got $1,000.
$4,000. $10,000.
I know, right? I think I made my point, but here's all the states where payday loans are still legal. For my American viewers, let's play Find Your Home State.
When I'm on the phone, why you always in a rut? Kill my old exes like Corona with a crush. Tried to show you different, cause learning is a must. Girl, why you always mad? Fire burning, we discuss why. You and Shanti and John Tucker must die. Yeah, you that thick, it's not a compliment. On the deeper side of arguments, you not equipped. You like a toy car, I'm on a rocket ship.
You saw yours, didn't you?
Worst.
All right, we're gonna stay in Texas and set the scene. When you default on a payday loan, it messes up your credit, which makes it harder to borrow money, harder to get a job, and in some cases, harder to find somewhere to live. When you default on an auto title loan, your car gets repossessed. Now, any of y'all who know what it's like to lose a car, like me, I got T-boned one time and had to go without a car for months and months on end. It really messes up your life. It's a massive expense. Not only do you have to ride the train in some cases or get a lot of Ubers, which is a huge expense that you did not plan for, but it inconveniences the entire family. I don't have kids, so for somebody who does have kids and they got to get places too, that burden has to be heavy as hell. I can't even imagine. All right, stay with me for this part because it's important. It's time for some hard data. This is the study. It's in the description. And here's the numbers. Payday loans wreaked absolute havoc on Texans from 2012 to 2021, which you'll notice included the pandemic. $1.6 billion in annual gross product lost. $1 billion in personal income gone. Picture all the economic impact you make working for a full year at your job. All the things you buy, all the activities you participate in the economy. Multiply that by 21,304. Wiped out. All because of these loans. It affects every industry too, but the hardest hit, retail trade, which includes restaurants. And get this, Black and Latino people made up 45% of the total population of Texas in 2019 when this study was conducted. They made up 71% of auto title loan customers and 74% of payday loan customers. The math ain't mathin'. Sums up. This one's really gonna piss y'all off. These loan businesses snatched up $45 million in PPP funds during the pandemic. Then they turned around and gave us loans with APRs from 200 to 500%. Okay, I got a interesting story. It was during the pandemic when the stimulus checks went out the first round. I went to AMC the next day to watch a movie. I go to the movie by myself all the time. This was at Phipps Plaza Mall. I don't know if y'all know, but that's like the premier mall in Atlanta. They got all the high fashion boutique stores that I never shop at, Coach, Gucci, etc. And so I'm walking past these stores on my way to AMC. I forgot which movie it was, but it was bad, whatever I did go see. And I bring this up because it's the one time that a line stretching around the corner from Gucci meant that people weren't going into debt. They were actually making it rain government money, which I approve of. If you're going to buy that, don't put it on the credit card. There's probably 3 people typing right now about how I hate black people. Let's make fun of Montel Williams.
If you need extra cash for an emergency or any other reason, call Money Mutual. Money Mutual has over 100 short-term lenders who can lend up to $1,000, and they can put that money directly in your checking account in as little as 24 hours. That could give you a little cushion.
That's bullshit. This applies to more than just black people, but we're really easily influenced by celebrity endorsements. Apparently, all you gotta do is put Saweetie's face on the bag, and people will eat actual garbage. That's for another day, though. Moral of the story, stop listening to famous people because 9 times out of 10, they don't know what the they talking about. It's my favorite part. Loan companies are delusional as hell when they're trying to defend themselves. Here's 2 communication spokespersons from Wells Fargo and Amegy Bank in Texas defending why they were primary investors in First Cash, a massive organization giving out pawn loans at 2,900 locations in the United States and Mexico. We are active in making loans and providing banking services to businesses that operate within the law, including local, state, and federal, and who fit within our risk appetite. We have relationships with companies that have demonstrated a strong, ongoing commitment and capability to comply with applicable laws and regulations to their business operations. What the accent was that? Notice they mentioned a strong, ongoing commitment to not going to prison, not to any kind of like company code or ethics. A bank is gonna chase money. I get that. But it doesn't mean y'all gotta be evil. Maybe I'm just being naive though. While First Cash doesn't offer payday loans, they can charge up to 240% interest for their pawn loans. If you don't pay that back, they're taking your shit. Last point I want to make about these weak-ass defenses underlines the irony in all this. Loan sharking hails back to a practice called redlining, which was formalized in the United States in the 1930s. Essentially, it withheld loans, insurance, healthcare, and helped establish food deserts all over the United States. I used to live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I've seen the food desert problem firsthand. I lived there in late 2021 and most of 2022. It actually took some effort to get to a grocery store that I recognized, something like Kroger or whatnot. There were whole stretches of that city that didn't have the Publixes, the Krogers, the whatever your favorite chain is, Aldi's even, they just weren't there. It's because historically, high poverty areas like a lot of Tulsa, even to this day, are discriminated against by people who provide this infrastructure and build these things in the first place. Now, where I lived at in Tulsa, there was a neighborhood grocery store that was established by people who lived in that community, black people who lived in that community. And so that was really dope to see. That brings us to reverse redlining, a term that describes how lending institutions target people in disadvantaged communities for high-interest financial products. Sounds familiar, right? Lenders claim fees are reasonable based on borrowers' credit history. Unless you think several 100% on a loan is reasonable, that's bullshit. They also claim they're helping people in abandoned communities. Somebody tells you they're thirsty and you give them a poison water bottle, I don't consider that help. I don't know about y'all though. Now, while white people absolutely get targeted by loan sharks too, I've already pointed out how they congregate in urban city centers, usually in the poorer parts of town, AKA where the Negroes live, due to socioeconomic discrimination, historical policy differences, etc. All that being said though, I think there's something we can do about it.
Is it safe to say it's over?
This is the part where I give y'all some game on how to avoid a debt trap. This is from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, not me. I am not a financial professional. I am just a YouTuber that paid down a lot of debt in 2023. This one seems obvious, but don't get a payday or auto title loan if you have any other alternatives. Dead ass. Borrow from that relative you hate. You know what I'm talking about. Told you not to go to that TitleMax. Take your ass home. If you absolutely must borrow as little as possible and pay it back on time if you can. Never use a loan to have walking around money. I made that mistake in college. I used to get 5-figure loans to cover tuition, books, etc., and add on $3,000 to $4,000 so I wouldn't be walking around campus like a broke boy. All that did was make sure I'd be paying these back until I'm dearly departed. Please subscribe. Now, if you have one of these loans already and you find yourself unable to pay at the end of that 2 weeks, you can stop them from taking that automatic payment out of your account. All you got to do is call or write the bank or call and write the company that gave you the loan and tell them, look, I'm trying to stop payment on blah, blah, blah. Give them an official order to do so. Alternatively, you can just pull up to the bank, tell them I want to issue a stop payment on this account. It'll cost you a fee, but I promise it's worth it. It's better than getting your daycare money snatched out from underneath you. That sucks. This last one is tedious, but ultimately, these companies are legal in 29 states because they lobby the government. They spend millions of dollars a year convincing your congressman and your representative that, look, you can't ban us. We belong in this economy. We deserve to be taking money out of their pockets. I'm not naive enough to think that I can make one video and everybody's going to call their congressman or hit up their representatives and demand that payday loan and auto title loan companies get banned everywhere. I know that's not going to happen, but the first step to solving any problem is awareness. And now that y'all know, can't say I ain't tell you.